continuing to pick dive into the Talia. This is playing straight into the hands of what BDS Academy want from their mid lane pick. The Xin Zhao offers a lot of early game pressure as well, and Adam going to throw down and say, we will take this Olaf into the top side. I don't care for this Gangplank matchup. I'll opt into the Olaf too, and I really like this. Is a very skill-oriented matchup, it feels like, on that top side. One axe lands, and the Gnar really can struggle, but if you're able to dodge out, use that mini Gnar to kite out the Olaf effectively, can very easily go one way.
And something that we've been seeing from BDS Academy is a lot of pressure towards stuff like the Draven in these past 2 games in terms of the bans. They haven't allowed Exakick to play this early game aggressive AD carry style. They haven't allowed him to be someone that LDLC can really play around and put resources into in the early game. And if BDS Academy are winning on the top side and LDLC can't enable their AD carry, their options run out pretty quickly.
Draven taken off the board, Leona taken off the board as well, so the very proactive bot side duo really removed from LDLC. There's still the Amumu open, there's still powerful ADCs that you can opt into. You can see the Aphelios and Kalista taken away, so there's certain picks that Exakick will just not get his hands on, period, it feels like, this series. Now, BDS Academy, I expect they take an ADC here. You tend to want to save counter for your support unless there's something really highly prized that they want to take away. And no surprises, really, the Sivir gets locked in as this first pick for the bot lane, at least. Now, LDLC, did they try and throw down and punish this Sivir in the early stages, or are they going to opt into something a bit more scaling focused too?
I mean, that is something you can do. While Sivir's early laning has been improved a fair bit, she's still a champion that has like 525 range. She still lacks defensive tools outside of that spell shield, and locking in a Rakan, I feel like indexes into a playstyle that can actually get on top of the Zeri in terms of the team fights and make it really difficult for her to actually play around.
All in dive from LDLC. They've picked the Jinx as a fail-safe win condition for the late game, and I'm quite happy with that. Jinx as a late game AD carry, I will always say, is the best champion to do it on. Quite happy to see Exakick back on this one as that fail-safe for the team. But they've got 4 champions that go diving into the back now. Can BDS Academy pick something to deter that? The Lulu comes through. This was an angle for an enchanter. Any really would have done. The Janna was also on the board. It's not something that we see so frequently, but that would have had agency also. Lulu comes in. It's going to stop any sort of dive efforts in their tracks. And once again, have to emphasize this. Champions that don't have blinks and that have dashes hate playing versus Talia because of Unraveled Earth. You try and go in, and as soon as you've jumped forward, you get stunned on impact. You can then get stunned and knocked away as well by the Talia W if that cooldown is up. So once again, LDLC, not necessarily pigeonholing themselves with this composition. They have plenty of tools, but playing a little bit into what the BDS mid lane wants.
And that's not ideal, considering how strong Rika has been so far in this series. And honestly, Rudu, if BDS Academy turn around and win this game in 30 minutes, I'm imagining it's going to be off the back of that man in the mid lane once again. And I'm sorry, LDLC, you can't let Rika have 3 incredible Talia performances in the row. I'm thinking there must be some plan for the early game that means that they're going to be shutting down this Talia and preventing the mid lane of BDS Academy having the massive impact in this game that he's had in the previous 2.
You'd like to think so. We have to kind of hope and wait and see if that's going to be the case, though, because I too agree. I don't really know what they're thinking, giving Talia 3 games over.
It's a risk, and we'll have to see if it pays off for LDLC as they are fighting for the lives in their upper bracket. BDS Academy, if they win one more game, book themselves a ticket in the grand final. All the action in a little bit. Let's go, everybody. Summoner's Rift is the stage for the 3rd game in this series. BDS Academy on the edge of booking themselves a spot in finals. LDLC, they need to win here to make the reverse sweep happen and guarantee themselves a place in the grand final. Onto the Rift once more.
This could be the final game, Middlecop. Could be BDS Academy starting out their playoffs bracket with effectively just 2 games, 2 series even. And if they take this win here, this would be a convincing statement to make. Sending LDLC down to the lower bracket in 3-0 fashion would be an upset by everybody's margins. Everybody knows that LDLC coming into this series were the heavy favourites. I mean, you go 17-1 in regular season, you're not expected to drop your first playoff series, but BDS Academy have gone away, they've done the homework, they've done what was needed to put themselves at this 2-0 state in the series, and now with just one more game before they can officially say they've bested the best that LFL has had to offer in years gone by.
I'd be surprised if LDLC are going to make it an easy task for them. What do they need to do? What do our reigning champions need to do to spare their blushes in Game 3 of this Juggernaut match and start the fight back that needs to happen if they want to guarantee a spot in finals?
I think you said it perfectly just as we got into the game middle court. Shut down Rika. Don't let this Talia get off to the race. This is a champion that spikes on item hits and, of course, at that level 9 marker that I've touched on so many times in this series. If you can make Rika fall behind the curve, this champion's damage can feel very underwhelming. And, you know, you do have that element of CC and that setup, which never goes away, but it can be heavily mitigated by being able to kill her before she's able to dish out any of those cooldowns. Now, they have got these tools of Ari in the early stages, who is able to generate the push in this mid lane, if so desired. And with Yike on this Diego through the early stages, going to be looking to go for some tussles. It's not without its own matching, though. I do like Sins out as an answer, as LDLC pushing for 2.
Yeah, does secure the knock-up onto Crowley. No spell shield yet means that... I mean, that one still able to respond with a fair bit of damage onto the support of LDLC. But yeah, Ghost already pulled in the bot lane.
Okay, big cooldown actually expended, and it means that without that, Crowley now, again, a little bit more susceptible to going down. Is going to have to burn that flash or spell shield, of course, if there's any particularly highly... potent engages. And to touch on the Sivir and Rakan matchup this time around, obviously we saw Sivir last game get countered by a Vi, which seems like that should be role reversal, but Blue Smite was able to alleviate the issues that we saw from the Sivir gameplay, also from the Vi gameplay, excuse me. But for Rakan in particular, if you have the charm active, that is the only thing that gets immune. If you still land your knock-up, then obviously Sivir will get connected on by that, and if of course they don't spell shield anything, they're going to get charmed and knocked up. So you have to bite the bullet on one of them. It's a bit of an Alistair issue, if you're familiar with that matchup as well. You kind of can only spell shield one, and the other one is always kind of guaranteed to land. So if, of course, there's enough movement speed, Crowley may be able to just run out of the knock-up, so it's not quite as harsh as that Alistair. But same vein as you can easily get this knock-up on DOS, and you can make Crowley fearful for his life.
The engage, not quite guaranteed, but almost near as makes no difference, as Yike completely a fool there on his side of the jungle. Establishing a little bit of vision on Xiaoyu's top side camps. Getting that reset coming through, not going for a gank onto Adam in the top laners. A similar path being followed by the BDS Academy jungler, but a little bit later.
Yeah, albeit a bit slower, and this is what we see from Yike. And the important thing isn't what happens before, it's what happens after. But Shio looking for a play in the mid lane now.
Flash still available for Ica should he need it. Charm connecting onto Rika. Feels necessary, though, to expend that summoner spell to stay safe in the mid lane. And that means that, in terms of aggressive playmaking onto this Talia, a little bit less.
Great window looked at by Shio there. Knows that this is the time when Ari trying to push in that wave, trying to reset it in the laning state so that that gank doesn't happen. But it comes through just in time, and now with no flash in the mid lane, there's a small window where pre-level 6 Ari is fairly vulnerable. And there's a world where we get to see that capitalized on. With Shio not yet taken his first base, and he's taking some camps as well, he may well be a little bit delayed to make that play happen before the crucial level 6 marker. And the importance of those wards, this is of LDLC's jungle for Yike in particular, is now we look, and we can see Shio completely spotted.
Yeah, and there is nowhere for the Jinjiao to go. Flashes away, but the Ignite will tick him down. First blood for Ica.
This is so much better from LDLC. This is exactly what we have credited Yike for in times gone by. In games of the regular season, he would just manipulate his jungle pathing to spot out the enemy jungle and generate advantages through it. Being able to leave this Jinx alone on the bot side. He's got flash and heal. X kick. He's going to have to burn one if Crowley tries to get too aggressive, but yeah, should be fine down on their own. Using DOS as this roaming support into the bot lane, or from the bot lane, using Prio in the mid lane. This is what we were looking for from LDLC, and it is all off the back of those early wards from Yike.
It makes a lot of sense. It's why LDLC have been such a strong team in the LFL. It's their ability to make plays around the map, and honestly, maybe for the first time in this series, that was BDS Academy not really working out what was going to happen before it did end up happening, and that gold on Ica, like we've already touched about, means that he's on this lost chapter very, very early in the game, and you already have lane priority over Rika. That's just going to be double now.
Plus the Dark Seal as well, so stacking up that one quite quickly, you can work your way towards a Magi Soul Stealer on the Ari if you so desire, and if you get quite fed enough. Now looking at this back timing from Crowny, this is actually really good from... Oh, okay, good work from Dos to try and interrupt, but even better from Erdote there to give the shield. Of course, if you deal damage to a champion that has a shield on, you have to break through the shield before you interrupt a recall, and Flaming Quail, unfortunately, not enough to get through help picks.
Maybe seeing an all-in on the top side here from Adam, as Rika is here as well, joins the play with the Weaver's Wall, but doesn't quite connect on the shove back. This Olaf has not been enjoying the laning phase up against Ragnar, who has built a pretty decent CS lead for himself.
And this big wave coming in through should amount to probably, 5-10 CS lead, so it's not all doom and gloom for Adam on that top side, and they're not, obviously, with this range advantage, which is maybe more the weaker part of Nara in this matchup, because you thrive off of all the CC, but Olaf immunes all that.
Yeah, just gets really angry and starts running at you, as we're seeing aggressive plays from LDLC as Adam goes into the Ragnarok, immunes the CC from Ragnar, who's forced to flash away. Yike and Ica here to back up their top laner, but the charm going wide means that Adam stays alive.
Speak it in its shall appear, apparently, for us here, Middlecott. We talk about the strengths of the Olaf versus the Meganar, and it's exemplified for us right there. Ragnar forced to flash. Adam uses the Ghost plus Ragnarok as well. Now we could see a little overextension on this top side. Yike is here to help Ragnar in case we see Adam try and push this wave in. He knows he needs to get this crashed, but there's a lot of BDS Academy members also roaming up to this.
Yeah, Yike may have actually baited himself with the play. Of course, no ultimate available for Adam, so just relying on that Conqueror, that bonus healing to keep him alive. His body's going to get stolen away by the Ruin King, who gets ruined himself. Shio with that kill, BDS Academy claiming their first kill of Game 3.
Oh, and I don't think they knew that the Viego was still in that brush. Erdote forces or uses his own flash to try and get over the wall to save his top laner, but didn't quite have the distance. Wasn't expecting there to be a Viego there. That would have been a 4-man collapse on a little mini Gnar. Not too nice for Ragnar. BDS Academy looking for the double objective sweep. Not too easy to get it though. Good presence from LDLC.
That's going Mega. Dos not quite finding anyone with the engager. Shio's going to turn that around. Still has access to the ult, but gets slammed into the wall by Ragnar, but can't follow up with the damage. The Jinx Rocket immuned. The Herald claimed by BDS Academy as they get the first kill of the fight as well. And here comes Adam. Yike gets a kill on the backside, but Ica gets put in the dirt. The LDLC jungler is going to have to 1v3 this one, and it doesn't look particularly likely. Actually, get a double kill, are going to claim Erdote's corpse, but they have nowhere to go. Oh, back once more time, and Rika takes him out.
Good fight for BDS Academy. They get the double on objectives. They get 2 kills in there as well. It's a little bit of an awkward situation for Yike right there. It's the catch-22 of, okay, I get to reset, but I'm resetting into a 200 HP Lulu corpse. Smile, that's not going to go too well for you, unfortunately, and he does get taken down after the fact. It is a good one fight for BDS Academy up on that top side, and after the early game proactivity that LDLC had made, once again, this has been a game stymied a little bit by BDS Academy. They've stopped that snowball in its tracks, and now LDLC BDS Academy in this even gold state once again.
There isn't even gold in the mid lane. Once again on the Talia, Rika finds himself at an advantage after being put behind a little bit earlier. 2-0-2 now on the Talia. Has that stopwatch available as well. And BDS Academy, they're behind on gold in this play, but they know that they can make it work.
Numbers advantage is barely there because of the sort of lineage of where these champions are playing out with one another. You have got Xin Zhao level 6, and really does make the difference there because the Jinx Rocket damage completely immune. That would have set up for a reset much earlier on for Ica and potentially given a world where we see this fight go LDLC's way. Adam shows up just in time, and Yike, once again, we touch on the power of this Viego getting resets, but it's so difficult to reset in amongst all 3-4 members of the BDS Academy team when there's so much CC, so much disengaged potential. Outside, there's a bit of a scrap, but nothing really comes from it.
Yeah, Granny having to burn the ghost, but keeps his flash, so not the worst thing in the world for BDS Academy as Exakick and Dots sort of being the strong side of the map. It's a very weird game state that they're in right now, because we're even in terms of Golden. Yike, 3, 2, and 1 on this Viego was just completed the Divine Sungra. Should be a strong point for LDLC, but BDS Academy just feel like they have the advantages skirmishing around topside.
Yeah, this Viego is the strong point of LDLC right now. They don't really have too much else going in their favor. We don't have that Luden's Tempest picked up for Ica just yet. Spirit Rush is available if we're looking for this play in the mid lane, so it's going to rely on a fairly adventurous W from Rika. But it looks like it's just push in the mid lane, head toward this dragon, and BDS Academy starting out this game with 2 neutral objectives in their favor. They're looking to make it a third.
It could be risky though, as Yike and Dossa moving over. Level 6 available for the recon, but doesn't have the ultimate actually. Adam has got first move as Gio being exploded right at the start of the fight. The Crescent Guard enough to keep him alive as Yike is diving, trying to get that reset, but resets right into Adam. A double kill already secured for the LDLC jungler as LDLC keep going forward. A triple for Yike as in game 3 they do not want to fall down. Rika forced to flash away, but the Viego follows him over the wall. The stasis will keep Rika alive just barely as they claim the shutdown before Exakick kills them with the auto.
Oh, it's so well played, LDLC. They take a 4v5 in their favor, and the powerhouse of Yike steps up when needed. LDLC, they've got one powerful member on the team, and he steps up huge. Divine Sunder in the back pocket meant that he could deal all the damage needed, alleviate all the concerns that LDLC had, and now this is Yike's game to win for LDLC. It's him who's going to have to turn the tides back of this series in their favor. Great start out to get it. Drake's still up, and if BDS Academy get this one, they're probably going to be quite happy that they take this Drake. It's a bit of a recompense dragon take, as they would have loved to have had the fight as well. Shio and Edote here, they may just pick it up.
Be able to grab that as the Rift Out actually going to be summoned charging into the mid lane as well. So despite losing the fight, BDS Academy claim the objectives. They push themselves towards that potential soul win condition, as it is going to be an Infernal, which is a dragon I'm sure they'd like to pick up a couple more.
All 4 non-support members for both teams do damage. It'll be really good to see good to see everybody getting those Infernal Drakes in their back pockets. We have just got a quick tech pause though, unfortunately. We are obviously back with ourselves whilst we get all of that set up. Make sure the players have got complete competitive integrity in their favour, and we want to make sure that this third game rather in a potential series does have all of its questions ticked.
Yeah, and I think a key thing for me, from what we've seen so far in this game 3, is that LDLC are doing stuff, and it's working out when they are doing stuff. We've talked about Yike, and a lot of it is coming from him. The thing about Viego, though, is I feel like we need to see that lead spread a little bit more. Get your solo lanes ahead as well. Get them relevant as well, so that they can actually match up against what BDS Academy are doing, because we've seen LDLC with minor gold leads in this series before, but they've been thrown away and they've ended up with their own Nexus exploding. We need to see something different in this game.
The great thing about these compositions that both teams have drafted is that they both scale. I think that going into the late game, I wouldn't want to split it apart as to who's going to be the better factor. I think that the nature of the hardcore reset that we've got from LDLC gives them a different out to a team fight than we see from BDS Academy, who have got themselves just core, stable 5 versus 5, where LDLC are so focused on killing that first target, because look at the resets capable for their team. We've got Jinx getting excited, Ica gets another charge of Spirit Rush, and the Yike passive as well, possessing another body, being able to utilize all their cooldowns as well. If LDLC find the first kill in a team fight, they are going to steamroll BDS Academy, even in the late game. But if BDS Academy can use their disengage tools in the Talia, in the Lulu, to prevent that first kill going down, this is really going to allow for BDS Academy to have their own damage coming through from that team fight. You can't discredit a Sivir on 3 items and how much damage she'll be able to pump out.
Adam might be in a little bit of danger here. Miguel setting up a player's Halibis is going to go down. Ragnar jumping forward. The Ragnarok used by Adam, but there's just too much damage. Ica with his 3rd kill of the game, and that is what it's all about for LDLC.
Gold distribution here, Middlecott, as requested. Kill on to the mid laner for LDLC, and that is once again just so much work being done by Yike, spending his time on that top side. Ica roaming up through the mid lane, and the cross map capabilities just not there by BDS Academy. Really good by Exakick and DOS to recognize they don't have pressure in this bot side, and they have to unfortunately just sacrifice a wave or two. They're not even going to get the turret down on this bot side, so BDS Academy once again falling behind across the rift. And this Olaf in game number 1, it certainly sort of tore people apart. Game number 2, it's going to be a lot harder for that to happen.
because Adam hasn't really had the laning phase that he would have wanted. Like, you can play around now if you land one of those undertows, even if he's in minimal form, there is chase down potential, but Ragnar has played this matchup very, very well, kiting around the Olaf, and it means that Adam diving into these fights is nowhere near as scary as he was in Game 1.
Now, we have said this, and the reason Adam, of course, has got sort of 12, 13, however many player of the games from OTP is the fact that even when he doesn't necessarily get those resources, he has felt like a player that can perform with gold. And as minimal as this gold that he's been getting will be, in this series in particular, he's looked really, really good at coming back. We look at last game when he was 0-2 on the set versus the Gwen in the top lane and still able to find a solo kill. We're going to need that Adam to come back in game number 3 and try and be a force to reckon with on that top side. Not yet at a mythic, down in items, but certainly trying to progress his way to a point of power.
I think BDSA are also going to be looking to their mid laner once again, who has found himself in a place of power in this game. It's not the best matchup for him to play into in terms of what he's actually diving forward into. I feel like DOS on this Rakan can be just a little bit annoying, a little bit maybe too annoying to Rika for him to find a lot of these reliable engage potentials, but then of course with the Unraveled Earth, the dashes that LDLC do have on their team, if anyone goes over those late game, you are being blown up.
Still need to get to that late game for BDS Academy, and I think that's the saving grace for LDLC. Adam, the target.
Yeah, we'll use the Ragnarok to immune the knockup from DOS, and it goes to get themselves away. And for the first game in this series, Rude, it feels like LDLC are continuing to make these aggressive plays. We saw them get leads last game, and they sort of were petered away. They didn't really lead to anything. Now they're moving X-Kick around the map, trying to get a little bit more gold on this Jinx, and making the plays that we kind of expected from them in this series.
This is good recognition as well. X-Kick has had to bite the bullet of the topside pressure that LDLC have been exerting this game. So them giving a little bit of gold back over to the Jinx is merely retaliation, I suppose, right? They've had to stomach a little bit of hard times in the early stages, but now X-Kick getting funneled in that gold. And even still, the fact that he's had this fairly rough mid-game where everything has gone sort of topside favourably for LDLC, and X-Kick has been the one that has had to bear the brunt of that. He's still even in gold, still even in everything.
Oh, DOS trying to find an engage there onto Shu, is forced to flash back himself. The Shirelias and the On The Hunt used from BDSA's bot lane to disengage the play, but again, the engage tools aren't going to be available for this upcoming Drake fight.
So I've got Ghost used there by Rika to get away from the engage as well, and now the Herald being summoned in the mid lane. This should just be Drake being given over to LDLC. I wouldn't like to see too much of a contest. You're missing a couple of crucial ultimates, and you are ultimately down in gold as well. So for BDS Academy, would not mind if they just gave this one up, but there's one thing we've learned from them is that they like to fight.
Yeah, they don't give up, as Ike are actually missing on a few of those charms. The Weaver's Wall to prevent some of the disengage coming through from LDLC. BDS Academy not quite on the Drake yet, as Yike is going to be able to smite the one down, and then LDLC look for the fight. The Jinzhou has no place in the front line as Ica continues to charge forward.
The resets.
BDS Academy cannot disengage from this one, as 3 kills are going to be picked up from LDLC in just a moment. The reset's so powerful for the reigning champions of the LFL, and BDS Academy on the run.
Feels so telegraphed, so simple to look at, but LDLC are just happy to take the fight. BDS Academy opt into it as well, but they don't have the items, they don't have the gold, they don't have the lead to facilitate a one team fight. And LDLC quite happy to just take the champions that walk into them. Once they get 1 kill, it becomes so easy to chase down more, and 3 members of BDS Academy all fall down. This time they don't even get the Drake as a compensation prize.
Yeah.
There's everything going the way of LDLC.
And this was around the point in the previous 2 games where BDS Academy were finding team fights that were going their way. And with that, I feel like the window for a lot of these mid-game team fights is kind of over. LDLC, they've scaled on this Viego, well, very closely once he picks up his second item. And Exakick already being so close to his second item as well. It feels like BDS Academy are kind of running out of time, but they've still got scaling options themselves.
It's a weird one, isn't it? Adam on this Olaf, a champion notorious for their late game drop-off, but when we got the item rework, of course, I think that all of those champions sort of got a little bit of stopping power, a little bit more utility, and it's not as bad as sort of time's gone by and reputations may have built up to be, but there's no doubt that Lenora is going to be providing more for the team in a team fight. There's Xin Zhao as well, a champion that again, notorious for being a one-way style of champion. You go in, and if you don't get your kill, unlucky kid, you've got to go, and you're going to have to try go again next life. We're really looking at Rika and Crowny for those pivotal late-game scaling options, but they're still fairly far away from being absolutely incredibly farmed. Rika has hit that 2-item spike, so isn't necessarily out of this game, isn't necessarily weak right now, but Crowny wants that Infinity Edge before he reaches real prevalence.
They're just a little bit behind, I feel like, for BDS Academy. They're not completely out of it, but a 5k, 4k gold lead does actually mean something. Although if you get caught out like this, maybe a little bit less. Yike, forced to burn the ultimate defensively and run away, but it's LDLC who have the disengage tools, which are enough to take them away. Maybe not, though, as Rika diving forward with the Reaver's Wall, but LDLC not opting to retreat towards the bottom side of the Baron pit. BDS Academy do now have mid lane priority and can look to push this one down.
Yeah, I think this is just going to be a mid-tier one turret. Ragnar has TP, though, if they want to try and do something with that. They're still corralling LDLC here. This is going to be a fight, and at Ragnar, Mininar.
Oh, Dos jumping forward on the Khan is very, very low, but gets out of dodge just in time. Dote focused out by Ragnar and is going to be the first kill of the fight. Yike, claiming that one as now Shio isolated on the other side. LDLC with 2 kills, easy as you like. And with Baron on the table, and not going to look towards it. The health bar's a little bit too low.
We've got to kill Rika still, though. He's running havoc in the back line.
Yeah, but can't dodge away from the CC. The cleanse is going to be used. Mininar Ragnar could chase down with the auto attacks with the damage. The Talia flashed over the wall and taken off the board.
This could now be the Baron. Crowny not really with too much mana. Steals with the blue, so...
More mana.
More mana, yes, and that Baron is not going to be taken by LDLC. I quite like this, though, still just keeping that restraint in their back pocket. They don't want to be throwing away the lead that they've worked so hard to claim. It's not going to be an inhibitor, or it's not going to be a tier 1 turret being taken down either. Just a fight win, BDS or for LDLC. That is all. They've been sat on 5 kills now for what feels like forever. Not quite being able to do the final dishing outs of damage, and they just don't have the items yet.
I think they may have the items fairly soon, though, as we're seeing two item completions for Ica and for X. You do really want to get towards 3 items on the Jinx so you can start popping off. But I think Ragnar and Yike are going to be looking at what they've got in their inventories and going, yeah, well, I think we can fight now.
I would like to say so. They're still obviously very willing on all fronts, it feels like, to take fights. This is something that these teams particularly went ahead for LDLC. They're now just shy away from a skirmish. Now Shio looking at the very least.
Does force the grand entrance away. A lot of defensive tools burnt by LDLC, and Yike and his support are a little bit caught out here. Ica able to charm up Adam, and with bloody Olath's HP gone, maybe this fight doesn't look as advantageous for Eureka. Dodging away from the China charge of that Orb of Deception, but he's forced to flash back, and now LDLC feel empowered to go forward. A knock-up onto Shio in the front line, buying so much time with that Crescent Guard, but Adam taken low once more. Going to be the first reset in this fight for Exakick, as now the Jinx can pump out the damage. Crowny isolated on the other side, a double kill for the LDLC AD carry, and once more they take 3 in the fight and are going to pick up an objective.
And there's just too much in the back pockets for LDLC. Rika trying so hard to do the damage. Look at Ica and Exakick's health bar. That is all this Talia. But he just doesn't quite have enough there. Not quite at the level needed to take down these carries, and the same to be said for Crowny as well. Pumping out damage as best as possible. But we're getting to that point where we're seeing the fallbacks, the drawbacks of Shio, of Adam, and how their late game is going to function. Once they try and go in, if they can't dish out the damage, they're just going to be walking health bars to get kited about. An Exakick, Ica, with the mobility on an Ari, with the kite capabilities of a Jinx, it's just too hard. Rika pigeonholes LDLC into this bot side of the fight, but he actually keeps Dote and Crowny behind the wall. So the rest of the team are too far away, and it's a 3v3 for this time, and as soon as the 5 members show up, Adam's already chunked down, Exakick's already here, and now they're taking a 5v5 with big numbers advantage.
And the thing is, for BDS Academy, is this is a fight they could have disengaged at any point, but this team feels the need to go forward, and LDLC ready to punish that, split them up, all of the ultimates being burnt. It's 3 easy kills and a second Drake of the game.
And now it's BDS Academy thanking their lucky stars that they took those 2 Drakes early on, because otherwise we'd be sat at an Infernal Soul 24 minutes into this game, and Baron way more likely to be on the board. Jinx, not quite at that 3 items, has actually opted into the Lord Dominic's Regard as a 3rd item of choice. Obviously seeing the Randuin, seeing the Thornmail that is getting built up by Shio as well. I don't mind this adaptation. The thing for at Crownie, and you may ask, why is that not the case on this side? Because we're seeing armor built up there as well. Crownie is very close.
Yeah, does get stunned by Yike, who is going to Heartbreaker forward. Spell Shield used in the Super Mega Death Rocket not connecting. That was a little bit of a weird skirmish in the mid lane, but Crownie burning the on the hot. Again, BDS Academy losing engage tools, and that means that LDLC a lot more free to start up setting up this Baron.
Yeah, and Heartbreaker as well, a fairly short cooldown, alike on the hunt, so both of these going to be up fairly quickly. Boss engages, Shio caught.
Oh yeah, caught as hell!
That's a lot of damage from Ica. That is a lot of damage, and this probably just means Baron gets started. Shio doesn't have Hextech gates, doesn't have really any way to get back. He's just going to have to stay on very low HP and try and flip for a steal. BDS Academy need to create space for their Zinzao to get in.
Oh, they might be doing that here as Rika solo on the other side. The main man for BDS Academy in the first 2 games of this series may be the first to fall in a decisive fight. Disengage does come through just in time for the members of BDS, though. It's just their mid laner going down. Does still have the teleport available,
Still
but
split.
they might be extending the play on the top side. Shio hit in the head with a Super Mega Death Rocket, and Crownie forced to run away, dodges out of that ground entrance, and once again, just a single kill for LDLC, but it's starting to stack up.
Look at the death timer, though. Rika up in 15 seconds. He's got that spellbook TP to get back to the fight. If LDLC stay out on the map for too long, looks like they're going to start up this Baron. Do BDS Academy have anything in the tank left to give? On the Hunt is back up and available. Crownie has no flash. Adam, no ulti. They're still looking to contest this.
Yeah, DOS taken low. Ica on the other side of the pit as Ragnar diving forward with his own ultimate. Doesn't quite connect onto Crownie, though. They will take out Adam for the 6th time this game as Ica may have overstepped, does get knocked back and taken out by Rika. That is a massive shutdown on the Talia, but it may not matter. Exakick responding with a kill of his own, flashing over the wall. Woo! Crownie with the spell shield just in time to stop the zap.
Oh, it's so close, and ultimate misplays here by BDS Academy, constantly stepping just a little bit too close and getting taken down. Really good picks by DOS to start that all off. That's how they picked off Rika to begin the engagement. They get the Baron as well. They get all these sequential kills that go their way, and now LDLC in firm control of game number 3. I knew this series wasn't going to be as easy as that middle cut. Surely this was going to go a bit of a distance, and LDLC not quite happy enough to see this as just a swift 3-0.
And with this 10,000 gold lead, a couple Drakes and potentially a third very, very soon, there are chances of making their way to Game 4. Looking pretty good right now. Adote's going to be heading to his fountain relatively soon as Exakick is dominating, and LDLC are going to turn this into a further engage. The Jinx a little bit isolated though and could be chased down by Adam, but the damage is just too much from LDLC right now. There is no way that you could defeat them in this team fight as Crownie try to cut around as much as he can, but it is not going to happen. Rika now under this tower being chased down by the members of LDLC. Nowhere to go for the Talia except into the grave. Triple kill for Yike. Ace for LDLC.
And I think that was a 4v5 as well. I'm pretty sure Ica was just farming bot lane that entire time. That's pretty awkward for BDS Academy and definitely not what they were hoping for. Crownie did cash in right there. He did get a 1,000 gold shutdown onto Exakick. So there's a bit of juice given back over to BDS Academy. But obviously they're losing out on so many fights so consecutively that these leads are just going to continue to build for LDLC. Third dragon of their game going their way now. And this game's slowly but surely looking to get closed out. With 5 minutes until the Infernal Soul. Once again, we look at our timers. It's not quite as nice as it had been for the BDS Academy squad. That Baron only live for another 50 seconds, which is nowhere near the elapsation when the Baron or when the Drake Soul is going to spawn. But does give them some good time to try and make some moves into the base.
And you have to feel that they're going to be playing around those timings fairly religiously. Don't want to make the mistakes of previous games of overstepping, taking any risk, but I feel like for LDLC, this game 3 should be pretty much secure for them right now, but Shio trying to change that diving forward as Yike is also a little bit isolated on the side, but with X-Kick there with the rockets, can't focus down LDLC's jungler, who has been performing exceptionally in this game. Ragnar taking down that tier 2 and now pressurizing onto this bot lane inhib tower. Adam has overstepped and the Giant's growth. You have to keep it alive for a little bit longer, but this tower is short to follow.
Crucial timing as well. Baron wears off in 5 seconds and sieging into a Sivir with no Baron is nigh on impossible, but LDLC use their window just enough to break open an inhibitor. Forced away such good zoning by Yike, Ragnar and DOS alike. Nothing to be said by BDS Academy. They can't step up. They can't defend their inhib. Now the pressure point in the bot lane where in 2 minutes 40, they're still going to have super minions pushing in, but they're going to have a Baron to try and contend with as well.
And that is a rough proposition for a team that looked so good in the first 2 games of this series. And still, even if they lose this one, going to be at advantage in terms of the series score. But LDLC have really, it feels like they've woken up in this game 3. They've come here to play. They've played aggressive. A lot of that has been through Yike in the jungle, but I feel like there has been a general step up from the other members of LDLC as well.
Yeah, they've all certainly started pulling their weight, and it feels like they've come together as a team a lot more. Now Ragnar going to catch out Rika. Not going to have the chance to use the wall.
Well, they are. It's not going to end well for them. So just lock there now. We're really for Rika to go, and yeah, a rampage for Ragnar. 8th death of the game for the Talia. We said that LDLC needed to shut it down. Yeah, she's not doing anything.
That is exactly what we asked for, and exactly what we have provided us. A really good change up for LDLC in game number 3. They've got such a cohesive or comprehensive gold lead right now. It feels unimaginable for them to lose this game, but they have still got to deal with 600 CF Sivir win condition. Crownie working his way nicely toward that 4th item of the game, so keep your eyes out for the Sivir to dish out damage in these fights. LDLC have recognized this though in fights gone by and been very hot to try and take down Crownie.
Sivir is the late game win condition for BDS Academy. LDLC are going. Yeah, we'll try and remove that away as quickly as possible. 3-level lead for Ragnar in this top lane versus Adam, by the way. This matchup has been swinging all over the place so far in this series, but I don't think that you can swing 4 items versus 2 very hard, Adam.
No, you cannot. Side lane's certainly not something that Adam is going to be feeling too good in, as well as even if we take away the items, let's take a look at the level lead. It's a 3-level lead for Ragnar as well, so the intangibles that come from those levels going to be amounting to a lot as well. Adam's certainly struggling his way through this top lane matchup, and like we've mentioned, the late game of an Olaf, of a Xin Zhao, certainly nothing that can rival a Viego, that can rival a Gnar. All eyes really on Crownie this game, the highest level of anybody in BDS Academy. They've recognized that their route to victory is through a hyper-scaled Sivir. And if she gets that Lord Dominic's Regard, there's a chance that they can take that team fight, but the damage from LDLC is still so darn high. If she's ever in range of anybody to get hit, the likelihood is that she's simply going to fall.
It very much reminds me of what Shio did to Exekick in the previous game on the Vi, where it's like, if you want to step up and deal damage as a Sivir, that's great, but you will die for it, which is not a great trade.
It's not, particularly when he is the only damage on the team.
Oh, they've taken Baron. Oh, okay.
That was a foregone conclusion, Middlecop. That was foregone at this point. They're going to take Soul as well, it feels like. That is almost as likely. Lord Dominic's Regard completed for Crownie. Now, if LDLC can control this bot side jungle, and they may even get to pick out where Dote's in a bit of a precarious position, but Crownie's the one who's under fire. He's the target, it feels like, as Doss is on a bit of an adventure right now, Dora the Explorer through the bot side jungle, but it's no lands at this point. They know that they can step this far forward and make those moves into the bot side jungle because BDS Academy don't have the tools, don't have the capability to answer.
Yeah, and because of these pushing lanes, they can't get anywhere near that Infernal Drake, and they know that an Infernal Soul with 4 stacks of the Infernal Drake is going to be a terrifying prospect to face down, but if you move over there, get aced in your own jungle, and you die. So BDS Academy, they've got around about 5 seconds to fight LDLC before this Drake goes down. Oh, your window's over.
And now for BDS Academy, the game just got even harder. In case it was, for BDS Academy, it got even harder. This top lane in here is where I'd like to see them try and make their last stand, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. They've got on the hunt ready. They've got all their tools available. Crownie, 4 items, double summoner spelled up. He's the one who has to try and save the game for them. They're not going to fight around these inhibs, then it's simply going to be a slow bleed out.
Yeah, getting triple inhib is disgusting. Oh, Shio caught out! The charm thrown back into LDLC.
They can get Yike.
Jinjiao by a moment of time as Yike is absolutely relentless. Stealing away the form of that Jinjiao as it's now a 5v4. The gold lead for LDLC is overpowering the Infernal Drake buff as well as Nexus Tower number 1 falls down. Exekit can just fire out these rockets from so far away. No one from BDS Academy can even get close. Adam now gonna ult, gonna Ragnarok, but it's not gonna happen. Yeah. We're not caring about the kills. We care about the Nexus. LDLC, send us to game 4.
And that's why you've got to go earlier. That's why you have to go on your third inhib. As soon as that falls, it just becomes so easy to get overpowered by super minions. And that's exactly what happened to BDS Academy in the end right there. LDLC with a methodical, clean closeout to game number 3. They got their leads in the early game and they leveraged it the entirety of the way through game number 3, sending us to game number 4 and saying they're not going to go quietly into this night.
Yeah, I did like the style in which LDLC ended up closing out that game, having that gold lead pretty consistently throughout a lot of the early mid-game, and then just building up the advantages very, very slowly, not doing anything too risky, not giving BDS Academy any full-blown 5v5s where they could potentially get a turnaround, utilize the power of the Talia,